#transformed script. The room stank of rosemary and fear, mine, specifically. Through cracked shutters, I watched the valley below transform into a sea of silk and anticipation. The Bonding Rite. Once every 10 years, when the moon swelled fat enough to tear holes in reality itself, allowing destined pairs to finally recognize each other across crowded rooms. Every unmated woman between 18 and 30 was required to attend. Every woman except me. My fingers drummed against rotting wood as laughter drifted upward from the courtyard. Girls from neighboring territories were being dressed like offerings, all perfume and hope. I pressed my forehead to the glass, breath fogging the surface. "You understand why this can't happen, Sera." My stepmother's voice had dripped poison disguised as concern when she'd locked me in here at dawn. "Your situation would only invite mockery. Better to spare yourself the humiliation." My situation. Such a delicate way to describe what I was, incomplete. In a world where shifting defined your worth, I was the abomination who'd never managed a full transformation. My attempts produced only claws or fangs, never the complete wolf that marked you as worthy. My father had defended me while his heart still beat. After the fever took him, though, Delilah wasted no time reminding everyone, especially me, that I was damaged goods. I twisted a lock of my white blonde hair around one finger. Even my coloring screamed outsider in a pack of dark-haired wolves. Another mark against me. Another reason to keep me locked away like a shameful secret. On the nightstand beside my narrow bed sat my sole inheritance, my mother's pendant. Silver, shaped like a crescent cradling a single star. "Remember, little light," she'd whispered through fever before death claimed her when I was barely old enough to remember her face. "The smallest flame can guide through the deepest dark." I'd worn it every day since, drawing strength from its cool weight against my skin. A reminder that once, someone had loved me without conditions. Below, drums began their primal rhythm, calling, summoning everyone but me. A knock shattered my spiraling thoughts. "Sera," Kira's voice, barely audible, my only friend. "Let me in, quickly." I fumbled with the lock, checking the stairwell for Delilah's shadow. "You'll miss the procession if they catch you here." Which is why I'm not wasting time arguing. Kira shoved a bundle into my arms, her dark eyes blazing with determination. "You're going." The fabric unfurled, a dress the color of winter sky, simple but achingly beautiful. "I can't," my throat closed around the words. "Yes, you absolutely can." Her fingers were already working at my buttons. "Your father was pack elder. You have every right to be there." "It's not about rights." I clutched the pendant like a talisman. "Last time I tried participating in pack gatherings." "You were 15 and terrified. We're adults now." Kira's voice softened. "Besides, this isn't just any ceremony. The Supreme Alpha is attending." My heart stuttered. "What?" "King Damien never attends regional rites, but rumors say he's finally searching for his mate. A queen." A queen? The idea was laughable. Alphas bonded with other alphas, or at minimum, powerful betas. Not half-formed mistakes who couldn't even complete a shift. Still, as Kira fastened the dress and braided crystals into my pale hair, something fluttered behind my ribs. Not hope. I'd murdered that emotion years ago. But curiosity, maybe. The Supreme Alpha was mythology made flesh. Commander of the 4 territories. Stories of his ruthlessness in battle and fierce loyalty to his people had reached even my isolated corner of the world. "There," Kira stepped back, appraising. "Now you look like what you are, an elder's daughter." I touched the soft fabric, finer than anything I'd worn in years. How do I even get past Delilah? Kira's smile turned wicked. "She's too busy ensuring her own daughters outshine everyone. The kitchen entrance is unguarded. Wait for the 3rd horn, then take the servants' passage and follow the creek to the bonding grounds." The first horn's deep note made us both flinch. "Go," I said, "before she realizes you're missing." After Kira disappeared down the stairs, I stood frozen as the second horn reverberated through the floorboards. My fingers found the pendant again, tracing the moon and star. The smallest flame can guide through the deepest dark. When the third horn called, I was already descending the narrow servant staircase. The forest embraced me like a co-conspirator, branches shifting to let moonlight paint my path silver. I followed the creek as instructed, its burbling voice a counterpoint to the drums and chants growing louder ahead. Smoke and incense thickened the air, ceremonial fires mixing with the musk of hundreds of wolves gathered in their most primal state. I hesitated at the clearing's edge. The sacred space teemed with bodies radiating heat and tension. At the center, a bonfire clawed toward the bloated moon, and there, on the raised platform, sat the Council of Elders. And him. Even at this distance, there was no mistaking the Supreme Alpha. Damien Shadowmere didn't command attention. He absorbed it, bending the very air around him into submission. His shoulders filled a cloak black as midnight, his face carved from authority and battles won. But it was his absolute stillness that struck me. While chaos swirled around him, he remained a fixed point, immovable. I shouldn't be here. This was insanity. I stepped backward, ready to vanish into shadow when a group of laughing females swept past me, carrying me forward into the firelight. For one suspended moment, no one noticed. I kept my head down, moving along the gathering's edge, searching for Kira among the crowd. The ceremony had begun. Young women from each territory presented to the Supreme Alpha and his council. Most received barely a glance before being dismissed with a respectful nod. This wasn't unusual. True mates were rare. Even Supreme Alphas couldn't force bonds that didn't exist. I'd nearly reached a cluster of trees that would provide cover when silence fell like a blade. The drums, constant as a heartbeat until now, stopped. The quiet was so complete, I could hear the fire crackling. "Continue the presentations." The voice was deep, resonant, absolutely commanding. The king had spoken. Yet the silence persisted. I risked a glance over my shoulder, and my blood turned to ice. Every head turned toward me. Every eye watched. And at the center of it all, the Supreme Alpha had risen, his gaze burning into mine across the impossible distance. "You," that single word carried easily through the still night. "Come forward." My legs refused to move. This wasn't happening. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through leaves. "Who is she?" "That's Marcus's daughter, the defective one." "Impossible." Then a familiar voice, sharp with fury. "Sera, what are you doing here?" Delilah shoved through the crowd, her face twisted with rage and something else, fear. "Your Majesty, forgive this intrusion. This girl is unwell. I'll remove her immediately." Her hand clamped around my arm, nails digging into skin. Shame flooded through me, hot and familiar. I should have known better. "Release her." The command sliced through the night. The Supreme Alpha had descended from the platform and was now moving toward us, the crowd parting like water before him. Delilah's grip tightened briefly, then fell away. He stopped mere feet from where I stood. The power radiating from him pressed against my senses, overwhelming. When his fingers touched my chin, tilting my face upward, I nearly gasped. The contact felt like lightning, painful and exhilarating simultaneously. His eyes were amber in the firelight, ringed with gold. They widened slightly as they searched my face, something like recognition flashing in their depths. "What is your name?" His voice was softer now, but no less commanding. "Sera, Your Majesty." The words emerged barely above a whisper. A smile touched his lips, brief, predatory, possessive. "Sera!" He tasted the name. Then he turned to address the stunned gathering, his hand never leaving my face. "The ceremony is concluded. I have found what I came for." The collective gasp was audible. I felt reality tilt beneath my feet. "Your Majesty," Delilah's voice desperate now, "there must be some mistake. Sera is—" "Mine." The word emerged as a growl that vibrated with such authority even Delilah fell silent. "By sacred right and before all witnesses, I claim this female as my mate." As the implications sank in, the world tilted. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was the fierce satisfaction in the Supreme Alpha's eyes as he reached out to catch me. I woke to unfamiliar luxury, silk against my skin and sandalwood incense curling through the air. For a moment, I lay perfectly still, convinced this was a dream. The ceiling above me vaulted upward, intricate wooden beams arching like ribs. This wasn't my attic room with water-stained walls and creaking floors. Then the memories crashed back. The ceremony, the whispers, the Supreme Alpha's declaration. I sat up with a gasp. "You're awake." The voice came from shadows that shouldn't exist in morning light. He stepped forward, and my breath caught. In firelight, the Supreme Alpha had been intimidating. In daylight, he was devastating. Tall and broad-shouldered, he moved with contained power. His face belonged on ancient currency, strong jaw, high cheekbones, and those eyes. Amber and gold, watching me with intensity that made my skin prickle. "Where am I?" though I suspected the answer. "My private chambers at your Pax Lodge." He moved closer. "I thought you might prefer to wake somewhere quiet after last night's excitement." Last night's humiliation, he meant. I'd fainted in front of hundreds. "There's been a mistake," the words tumbled out. "You can't possibly want me as your mate." His eyebrow arched. "Can't I?" I can't fully shift. I'm considered defective. You're the Supreme Alpha. You need someone strong, someone who can stand beside you and be respected." Something dangerous flickered across his face. "Are you refusing me?" The threat should have terrified me, but strange calm settled over me instead. What more could be taken? I'd already lived a life of isolation and shame. "I'm trying to save you from making a political mistake." I met his gaze. "A Supreme Alpha with a half-shift mate would be laughed at. Your enemies would see it as weakness." He moved so quickly I barely registered it before his knee was on the bed, his face inches from mine. One large hand cupped my cheek. "Let me make something clear," he said, my name a caress in his mouth. "I have spent 15 years building an empire spanning 4 territories. I've crushed rebellions, unified warring packs, established peace where only bloodshed existed. No one would dare laugh at my choice of mate." His proximity overwhelmed me. His scent, pine and smoke and something uniquely male, filled my lungs. "Besides," he continued, voice dropping to a rumble I felt more than heard, "you know as well as I do there's more to this than politics. You felt it last night when our eyes met, the bond already forming between us." I wanted to deny it, but the lie wouldn't come. I had felt something, a recognition, a pull toward him that defied logic. "Why me?" I whispered. "Out of all the females there." His thumb traced my jaw. "The moon chooses our mates. Something in you calls to the most primal part of me." His eyes darkened. "Now tell me, do you feel nothing when I touch you like this?" His fingers trailed down my neck to where my mother's pendant rested. The simple touch sent shivers cascading through me. "I feel—" I couldn't finish, too overwhelmed. A satisfied smile curved his lips. "That's what I thought." He pulled back slightly. "You'll have time to adjust. I'm not a monster who forces himself on unwilling females." Relief and disappointment flooded through me. "So you're not really claiming me?" "Oh, I'm claiming you." His voice left no room for argument. "But the mating ritual can wait until you're ready. In the meantime, you'll return with me to the capital and take your place as my chosen. The capital, the seat of the Supreme Alpha's power. Your stepmother has no authority over you anymore. His expression hardened. Though I'm curious about her reaction last night, why would she keep you hidden? Old shame rose. Because I'm an embarrassment. My father was an elder, respected by all. Having a daughter who can't fully shift reflected poorly on his bloodline. Tell me about your mother. I touched my pendant instinctively. She died when I was young. She was different like me. My father loved her despite it. After he died, there was no one left to stand up for me. Damien's eyes followed my hand. May I? Hesitantly, I nodded. His fingers were surprisingly gentle as he lifted the silver crescent and star, examining it closely. This symbol, he said quietly, do you know what it means? My mother said it represented guidance in darkness, that even the smallest light can guide in the darkest night. A shadow passed over his face. It means more than that, much more, but that's a conversation for another time. He released the pendant. For now, prepare to leave. We depart at midday. So soon, panic fluttered. I have nothing. Everything you need will be provided. He stood. Unless there's something specific you wish to bring. I thought of my sparse possessions. Nothing of real value except. Just this. I touched the pendant. And may I say goodbye to my friend Kira? He nodded. Of course. He moved toward the door, then paused. One more thing, Sera. You mentioned your inability to fully shift as a defect. He looked back. I believe you'll find it's not a defect at all, but rather a sign of something rare and valuable, something your stepmother may have had reason to fear. Before I could ask what he meant, he was gone. The journey to the capital took 3 days. I'd never ventured beyond our territory's borders, and the changing landscapes fascinated me. Dense forests giving way to rolling hills, then sprawling plains where grass rippled like water. Damien remained an enigma. Sometimes he sat across from me for hours, asking questions about my life. Other times he retreated into silence, his focus turned inward. At night, he respected my space, arranging separate quarters despite the knowing glances of his guard. On the final day, as the road climbed toward the mountain pass leading to the capital, he joined me at the window. Tell me what you're thinking, he said quietly. I hesitated, then chose honesty. That I don't understand why I'm here, why you chose me. His fingers brushed mine on the windowsill, the casual touch sending sparks across my skin. Is it so difficult to believe the moon chose you for me? Yes, I admitted. I've spent my entire life being reminded of my inadequacies. To suddenly be told I'm worthy of this, I gestured vaguely. It feels like a mistake that will soon be corrected. Something hardened in his expression. Your stepmother has much to answer for. It wasn't just her. It was everyone. The entire pack system values strength above all else. His hand covered mine completely. There are different kinds of strength. The ability to endure scorn without becoming cruel yourself is rare and precious. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. Besides, your bloodline is far from diluted. It's simply different. There it was again, that hint of something he knew but wasn't sharing. Before I could press him, he nodded toward the window. Look, your first glimpse of Shadowmere City. I gasped as we crested the pass. The capital sprawled across the basin, a jewel set within protective mountains. Stone buildings climbed gentle slopes, their red-tiled roofs gleaming in afternoon sun. At the center stood a massive structure of dark stone and glass. It's beautiful, I whispered. It's home, he replied simply, and now it's yours as well. As we descended, people appeared along the roadside. They waved and called out, some holding flowers. They've heard about you, Damien explained. News travels fast in wolf territories. What have they heard? His lips quirked. That their king has finally found his mate. That she's beautiful, with hair like moonlight. That she carries herself with quiet dignity despite years of mistreatment. Heat rose to my cheeks. You've been telling stories about me. I've been telling the truth. He paused. Though I left out the part about you fainting in my arms, thought you might appreciate that discretion. For the first time since this whirlwind began, I laughed. A genuine, startled sound that seemed to please him immensely. The next hours blurred with introductions and formalities. So many names and faces, advisors, household staff, nobles from prominent families. I struggled to keep track, grateful for Damien's steady presence and the quiet guidance of Maya, the female warrior assigned as my personal guard. Don't worry about remembering everyone, Maya advised when we finally had a moment alone. Half of them are just here to assess you and report back to their respective packs. Assess me, suddenly cold. Her expression was sympathetic but honest. You're an unknown element, my lady. The Supreme Alpha has never shown interest in taking a mate before. Now he returns with you, someone no one has heard of, from a minor northern pack. Someone defective, I added silently. Before I could respond, a servant appeared to escort me to my chambers, a suite larger than the entire upper floor of my pack's lodge. Everything was elegant but understated, decorated in soothing blues and silver. The king thought you might appreciate some time to rest before dinner, the servant explained. He requests your company in the private dining hall at 8, if you feel up to it. Left alone, I wandered in a daze, trailing my fingers over fine fabrics and polished surfaces. The bathroom contained a sunken tub large enough to swim in. I soaked until my fingers pruned, trying to process everything. Just 4 days ago, I'd been Sera the half-shift, hidden away. Now I was. What exactly? As the hour approached for dinner, I dressed in a gown of deep blue that made my pale hair seem almost silver. I'd just finished securing my pendant when a knock came. Damien stood in the corridor, changed into formal attire that emphasized his strength. For a moment, he simply looked at me, something like wonder in his expression. You are breathtaking, he said finally, offering his arm. The private dining hall was intimate, a table that could seat perhaps 12, though only 2 places had been set. Candles provided most of the light, their golden glow softening the stone walls. I thought you might prefer a quieter evening, Damien explained as he held my chair. Court dinners can be intense. Relief washed through me. Thank you. I'm not sure I'm ready to face a crowd just yet. Servants appeared with wine and the first course. Once we were alone, I noticed Damien watching me with that same intensity. You have questions, he said. I can see them in your eyes. I took a sip of wine for courage. Several hundred at least. That earned me a genuine smile. Start with one. I considered carefully. At the lodge, you recognized my pendant. You said it meant more than I knew. What did you mean? His expression grew serious. The symbol on your pendant, the crescent moon embracing a star, is the mark of the Moonsingers. An ancient line of wolves with abilities beyond the physical. Moonsingers, the word felt strange. I've never heard of them. Few have these days. They were thought to have died out generations ago. His gaze was steady. They were advisors to kings, mediators between packs, healers of both body and spirit. Their power wasn't in their physical shift, but in their connection to the moon itself, to the magic that governs all wolves. I frowned, and you think my mother was one. I know she was. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing the pendant. This is no ordinary jewelry. It's a focused stone, passed from one moonsinger to the next. Your mother must have known what you would become when she gave it to you. The room seemed to tilt. But that's impossible. I can barely shift at all. I have no special abilities. Don't you? His voice was gentle. Haven't you ever known things you shouldn't know? felt others' emotions as if they were your own, found animals strangely drawn to you. My breath caught. Small moments throughout my life suddenly aligned. The injured deer that had sought me out in the forest. The withered garden that bloomed after I'd tended it. The uncanny way I sometimes knew what others were feeling before they spoke. These are minor manifestations, Damien continued. The full extent of a moonsinger's abilities typically emerges after their 21st year, often triggered by significant emotional events. His expression darkened. Your stepmother may have suspected what you are. It would explain her determination to keep you isolated. But why would she fear such a thing? Power. Moonsingers held tremendous influence in the old days. Some alphas resented it, especially those whose rule was questionable. He leaned forward. Your 21st birthday, when is it? 3 weeks from now. Something like satisfaction gleamed in his eyes. The autumn equinox, perfect timing. For what? For you to come into your heritage. He reached for my hand. And for our mating ceremony. The world narrowed to where our skin touched, heat spiraling up my arm. You still want that, even knowing what I might be. My name was a caress. I want it precisely because of what you are. Do you understand what it would mean? A supreme alpha mated to a moonsinger. It hasn't happened in centuries. Together, we could unite the territories in ways no one has managed before. There was passion in his voice, vision and ambition. But something else too, something that made me withdraw my hand. Is that why you chose me? I asked quietly. For political advantage. Damien stilled. Is that what you think? I think you recognized my pendant at the ceremony. I think you knew what it meant before you ever claimed me as your mate. The pieces were falling into place. He stood abruptly, packing to the window. For a long moment he was silent. Yes, he said finally. I recognized the pendant. Yes, I understood what it might mean. He turned to face me. But if you believe that's the only reason I claimed you, you understand nothing. In 3 long strides he was before me, pulling me to my feet. One hand cupped my face. I have spent 15 years building peace through strength and fear. 15 years watching my back, trusting no one completely. Do you think I would bind myself for life to someone just for political advantage? His thumb traced my lower lip. The moment I saw you at the edge of that clearing, trying so hard to be invisible, something in me recognized something in you. Call it fate. Call it the moon's will. But it was real, Sera, as real as this. He lowered his head slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his lips brushed mine, a question, not a demand. Despite my doubts, I answered by pressing closer, my hands finding purchase in the fabric of his shirt. The kiss deepened, gentle exploration, giving way to something more primal as his arms encircled me completely. I felt the rumble of a growl in his chest as my fingers tangled in his hair. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes had shifted. More wolf than human, the amber darkened to molten gold. Political advantage, he said roughly, his forehead resting against mine. Is that what this feels like to you? I couldn't lie, not with his scent surrounding me, not with the echo of his kiss on my lips. No, I whispered. It feels like drowning and flying at the same time. His smile was slow and satisfied. Good. Remember that feeling. It's the truth between us, whatever else you may doubt. The next 3 weeks passed in a whirlwind. As word spread of my imminent union with the Supreme Alpha, dignitaries from across the 4 territories began arriving, each bearing gifts and thinly veiled curiosity. I was assigned tutors who attempted to cram years of protocol into days, endless dress fittings, countless introductions to people whose names blurred together. Throughout it all, Damien appeared and disappeared like a phantom, sometimes stealing me away for private moments in the palace gardens, other times consumed by the business of ruling. I'm sorry, he said one evening, finding me alone on my balcony. "This isn't how I wanted your first weeks here to be." I turned to him, taking in the shadows beneath his eyes. "You're a king. I understand that comes with responsibilities." He moved beside me, close enough that our arms brushed. "Still, I've thrown you into deep waters and left you to swim." "I'm stronger than I look," I reminded him. Something in my tone made him smile. "Yes, you are." His hand found mine. "How are the dreams?" The dreams had started a week after our arrival, vivid, disorienting visions that left me gasping awake in darkness. Sometimes I saw ancient ceremonies beneath open skies, sometimes battles where wolves and humans fought side by side, sometimes quiet moments between mothers and daughters as they passed down knowledge. More intense, I admitted. Last night, I dreamed of a circle of women standing in moonlight, their hands joined. They were singing, but I couldn't understand the words. Damien nodded, unsurprised. "Your abilities are awakening as we approach the equinox. The dreams are memories, not your own, but those of moonsingers before you." "What if I'm not what you think?" I whispered. "What if the dreams are just dreams and I never develop these abilities?" His expression remained steady. "Then you will still be Sera, the woman who faces each challenge with quiet courage, the woman who has brought light back into rooms that have been dark for too long." His lips quirked. "The woman who still refuses to let me win at chess despite the fact that I'm her king." I laughed despite myself. "You're terrible at chess. Your strategies are all brute force, no finesse." "So you keep telling me." His smile faded, expression growing serious. "Sera, I need you to know something before the ceremony. Whatever abilities you develop or don't develop, whatever political advantages come from our union, they're secondary. I chose you. I continue to choose you every day." The sincerity in his eyes made it hard to breathe. Slowly, deliberately, I rose on my toes and pressed my lips to his, initiating our kiss for the first time. His response was immediate, arms encircling me as he deepened the contact, a growl of approval rumbling through his chest. When we broke apart, his eyes had shifted again. "You make it very difficult to maintain my promise to wait until after the ceremony." I shivered at the sensation of his breath on my skin. "Perhaps that's my intention." His laugh was strained, but some traditions are worth honoring. With visible effort, he stepped back. 3 more days, then nothing will separate us again." The night before the autumn equinox, I couldn't sleep. My chambers felt too confined. I slipped from bed and threw a cloak over my nightdress, padding barefoot through quiet corridors. My wandering led me to the palace archives, a vast room filled with ancient texts. I'd visited briefly during my education, but hadn't had time to explore. Now, drawn by instinct I couldn't name, I moved among the shelves until I found a section older than the rest. One volume in particular caught my attention, a slender book bound in pale blue leather, its spine unmarked. When I opened it, the pages were filled with handwritten text accompanied by intricate drawings of moons in various phases, herbs, ritual circles. "A moonsinger's journal," a voice said from the shadows, startling me. An elderly woman emerged, silver hair braided elaborately, posture still proud. I recognized her vaguely from court functions. Lady Cassandra, Damien's great-aunt and one of his most trusted advisors. "I'm sorry," I stammered. "I didn't mean to intrude." "No intrusion. I've been waiting for you." She gestured to the book. "That belonged to my mother, the last royal moonsinger. I thought you might find your way to it eventually." I stared in confusion. "Your mother was a moonsinger." "The gift doesn't always pass from mother to daughter," she explained. "It can skip generations or lie dormant if conditions aren't right." Her shrewd eyes assessed me. "Your mother was from the Eastern Territories originally, wasn't she?" I nodded, surprised. "How did you know?" "The pendant. It belongs to the eastern branch of Moonsingers who specialized in healing and dreamwalking. She reached out, fingers hovering near the silver crescent without touching. I never developed the gifts myself, but I recognize the signs in you. The dreams have started, haven't they? Yes, I admitted. And other things. Yesterday, I knew a servant was coming before she knocked. The day before, I felt Damien's anger from 3 rooms away. Lady Cassandra nodded, satisfied. Your abilities are awakening naturally, which is good. She gestured to the book. Take it. It belongs to you now. As I accepted the journal, a question burned in me. Why didn't anyone tell me what I was? My mother must have known. My father kept her pendant safe for me, but never explained. Sadness flickered across her face. Fear, child. After the last Great War, Moonsingers were hunted by those who blamed them for influencing pack alliances. Many went into hiding, concealing their abilities. She touched my shoulder gently. Your mother must have hoped you could live a normal life, that the gift would remain dormant. But it didn't. No, and perhaps that's for the best. The territories need balance again. Her expression grew solemn. Damien is a good king, but he rules through strength alone. That path leads eventually to rebellion. I clutched the journal tighter. And I'm supposed to provide this balance. Lady Cassandra's smile was gentle. You will learn. The knowledge is in your blood, in your dreams. She nodded to the book. And now in your hands. Before I could ask more, a commotion erupted somewhere distant. Shouts and running feet. Lady Cassandra's expression sharpened. What is it? Intruders in the east wing. Her eyes met mine, urgent. Go to your chambers and bar the door. Guards will come for you. I hesitated, reluctant to leave her. Go, child. The future queen cannot be found wandering unprotected when the palace is under threat. The future queen. The title still felt foreign, but the responsibility propelled me into motion. I clutched the journal and hurried through corridors, my bare feet silent on stone. As I neared my chambers, the sounds of conflict grew louder, snarls and crashes, the unmistakable noise of wolves fighting. I'd just reached my door when a figure lunged from a side passage, blocking my path. For one terrified moment, I thought it was an attacker. Then I recognized the face, twisted in hatred. Delilah. Hello, Sera, my stepmother said, her smile cruel. How convenient to find you alone. Behind her, 2 male wolves emerged, their forms half-shifted, claws extended. I backed away slowly. What are you doing here? Correcting a mistake, Delilah hissed. Did you really think I would allow you to become queen? A half-shift nobody who should have been drowned at birth. The venom was familiar, but the desperation behind it was new. The Supreme Alpha chose me, I said, voice steadier than I felt. You can't change that. Can't I? She stepped closer. A mating bond requires both parties to be alive. If you were to die tragically before the ceremony, she shrugged. The king would mourn, of course, but eventually he would choose again, someone more suitable. One of her daughters, she meant. The pieces clicked into place, her frantic efforts to keep me hidden, her rage when Damien had chosen me. You won't get away with this, I said, continuing to back away. Damien will know. Will he, with the palace in chaos from this convenient attack we've arranged? She nodded to the men behind her. Take her. Make it look like she was caught in the crossfire. They lunged forward. In that moment of pure terror, something shifted inside me. Not a physical transformation, but a deepening awareness, as if a veil had been lifted. I could feel the moon above the palace, its energy streaming through stone and wood to reach me. I could feel the heartbeats of every person in the corridor, the pulse of their emotions, fear, hatred, bloodlust. Without conscious thought, my hand found my mother.